What's up everybody, Bunga here. This is Spacia X, and today I'm going to tell you why it's something that you should experience when visiting Japan. It is an experience unlike no other, so let's talk about it. Spacia X, the outbound train, goes from Asakusa all the way up to Kinugawa Onsen or Tobiniku. You can choose your path. I chose to go to Kinugawa Onsen for this wonderful ride. Spacia X is reserved seating only. I believe the vast majority of people are probably going to take the train to Nikko. I ended up going to Kinugawa Onsen, and it's probably one of the places that are not as much visited. And I wanted to take it out a little bit further. It's about a 2-hour ride from Asakusa all the way up to Kinugawa Onsen. Spacia X only has 6 cars. The first car is the cockpit lounge. There's actually a bar, and if you get reserved seating in that train, then you can actually use the bar. Now, the cool thing about the lounge is that it has like sofa seats, and it's like riding on a moving cafe. The next car is car number 2. Car 2 is the premium seats. That's where I'm sitting right now. The seats recline, they're all automatic. You get a nice little desk, and the chairs are just super comfortable. I'm about to fall asleep in this one. Cars 3, 4, and 5, those are more like standard seats. And then in car 5, there's also what are called the compartment seats. They're almost like semi-box seats when they're semi-private. And then from car 6 has what's called the cockpit suite. That's very private. And then of course there's another private box seats. And the private box seats have like a special motif in them. So I did get to sit in the cockpit lounge on the way up. And what I really like about the cockpit lounge is that it's a rolling cafe on the train. But it's very luxurious, best way I can say. And you know, it's between that or the cockpit suite. And for the price of the cockpit lounge, I think it's well worth it. It's almost the same price as a premium chair. The thing is, are you going to be using the bar, or do you want to just sit and relax? If you're just here to ride the train and you bring your own snacks, then get a premium seat. But if you want to get the full-on experience, sit in the cockpit lounge, and of course order from the bar, get some drinks, and enjoy the view from the window. So let me just give you a rundown of what I ate when I sat in the cockpit lounge. What I had what's called a Nikko. It's a special cola from Nikko. And then I had their pork jerky, and then also their strawberry milk ice cream. The cola itself was actually quite tasty. I would say it was almost like a cross between a ginger ale and something else, is what I really felt like. The pork jerky was a little bit greasy on my fingers. It'd be nice to have some chopsticks to eat it with. But the pork jerky was really good and actually went really well with the cola. Then of course top it off with a strawberry milk ice cream. The strawberry milk ice cream is actually what I started with first, and that's what I ate when we were leaving the station from Asakusa. The other things I had was a trout and shallots ryokan, and then I had a sake kase butter sandwich. These particular snacks were unique only to the cockpit lounge, and it's the only place where you can experience that. So the trout and shallots ryokan was actually really, really tasty. Although I would have liked it with some crackers. It would have been really good if I had some crackers now. The sake butter sando was actually pretty good, but it was a little bit too rich, too creamy for me. But I would say it was still pretty tasty. What I really like about these snacks is that not too sweet, not so sugary. It just right. You get a good hint of flavor in them. Eating snacks, sitting on the train, looking out the window, it just made the ride all that more enjoyable. So is the experience worth it? I would say the experience is definitely worth it. It's a really great way to really see a different side of Japan. You know, when most people come to Japan, you're stuck in Tokyo and it's just so busy and it's so crowded. Or you go to Kyoto and there's just so many people when you're in Kyoto or you're in Osaka. But the neat thing is when you're taking this train from Asakusa all the way up to Kinugawa Onsen, there are no people up here. This train is half empty. Not that many people know about this, and I'm very, very surprised. The vast majority of people I see on this train are mostly Japanese who are riding it. I don't think everybody else has discovered it quite yet. Spacia X could just be a cool little gem that not too many people have experienced quite yet. So is it worth it? Yes. Should you do it? Oh yeah. And I would say if you plan on riding Spacia X, make sure you stay in Kinugawa Onsen overnight. It's a wonderful experience.
They call this place the 3rd ugliest place in all of Japan. let's discover the Japan that people don't often talk about. This is Kinugawa Onsen Town. A town somewhat forgotten is such a place. It's a little up north from Tokyo and it's definitely off the beaten path. It was once a bustling resort town during the 80s, but is now just a shadow of its former self with abandoned buildings and such. I decided to embark on a fantastic journey to appease my curiosity. I wanted to check out the abandoned buildings and try some of the local foods and see what this place was all about. Today, let's go explore this forgotten side of Japan. And maybe, just maybe, it could be a place that is worth visiting. So let's go find out. So the first day I arrived at Kinugawa Onsen Town, my main objective was 1, check into the hotel. After checking into the hotel, get something to eat. So the first thing I did was got my car, then I went straight to the hotel to go check in. I like the vibe of this small town already. The hotel I stayed at was called Kinugawa Onsen Hotel. When I first got there really wasn't any other cars in the parking lot besides my own. Wow, there was like literally nobody here. Like literally nobody. I get up to the check-in counter, I ring the bell, and I'm ready to check in. What I did notice is that the huge lobby area with a lot of like little trinkets and artifacts and things like that. And from the front area, there's also this beautiful viewing area where you can actually see the river and the mountains, and they're actually quite beautiful. For the place that's considered the 3rd ugliest place in Japan, I was beginning to think that, come on, this place is not so bad. It's actually quite beautiful. I got to my hotel room, opened the door, got inside, threw all my bags, walked around, checked out the room a little bit. It's a huge space. Easily, if you're coming here as a family or you're coming here as a couple, this space is plenty big. For a solo traveler, it's just a huge space. It's actually quite nice. The view from the window was very nice too. Same view as the one down the lobby. Once again, you get a beautiful view of the river, and you can really begin to get hints and ideas of what this place used to be a long time ago, before it pretty much fell into the quietness that it is today. I mean, it's a very beautiful place, I think. I don't think it's really that ugly. Well, wait till tomorrow when we get into all the other stuff. After scoping out my room, I went down to check out the public bath. And the neat thing is, this whole area was empty. From the front area, I just kind of sat around and checked it out. It's just quiet. And then going into the onsen bath, there was like nobody. The neat thing is that this is where I get to chill in the evening. I would say overall, the Kinugawa Onsen Hotel is a very chill place to stay. It's not too crowded. There's not a lot of people. Plus, you gotta think I was there on a weekday. So who knows, might have been more busy on the weekend. All I know is that the time I went, it was super quiet, super chill, and I didn't see another soul or another person. I went back to my room, put all my things away, and did a little bit of research on my phone to see where I can go have dinner, and it was time to go look for some food. But before I went to go find some food, I went back down to the music room, picked up that ukulele, and decided to play a little bit of sweet music to get me ready to go find our food. I found 2 places where I wanted to have dinner. And the first place I was thinking of, I wanted to have yakitori. That's just chicken on a stick. And so I hopped in the car, drove over there. I found the restaurant, however, it was closed. Driving a little bit more around the town, I began to realize, wow, there is not a lot of open restaurants or shops in the evening in this town. Actually, in this small town, things are actually pretty dead. I was beginning to worry, will I be able to find a place to eat? I drove around a little bit more, and I think after spending about 15-20 minutes just driving around, I realized ramen is my feel-safe food. So I decided to go to this place where they have ramen, and I was the only person in the restaurant. There was nobody else just me and the owner. But this little restaurant had a cool little vibe. I mean, it really had that cool small town vibe. So I ordered a bowl of ramen, I ordered some gyoza, and I just kind of like just relaxed and was just kind of trying to figure out how the rest of the evening and the rest of the next day was going to be like. Overall, it was a nice dinner. The ramen filled me up. The gyoza was quite good. It was very much like you would say visiting your auntie's house and having a nice bowl of ramen and gyoza. With dinner done, I thought the best thing to do is just go back to the hotel, get ready for the next day. Got back to my hotel room, grabbed my clothes, went down to the onsen, and sure enough, I was the only person there. And then decided that I would just go and relax in the onsen, kind of reflect on the rest of the day, and then from here, plan the next day tomorrow. So far, day one was pretty chill and pretty quiet. For an ugly little town, I must say, I'm really digging the vibe of this place a lot. So let me tell you a little bit about this place, Kinugawa Onsen Town. So Kinugawa Onsen Town was actually discovered right around the Meiji Restoration in Japan. The Meiji Restoration, that started from right around the 1860s. And during that time, it was more of a playground for the Japanese feudal lords. However, it didn't really become fully developed for tourism and visitors till right around the 1970s. Now, right around the 1970s, that's when they started building up all these different ryokans and these hotels. Kinugawa was not just a destination for families and visitors alike, it was also a place where companies would gather together and to have retreats and to get together and have a good time. Throughout the 1970s and throughout the 1980s, Kinugawa Onsen was a very popular destination. Towards the end of the 80s, Japan's economic bubble burst. So after the bubble burst and throughout the 90s, early 2000s, the whole area just gradually became more and more abandoned. It cost a lot of money to actually demolish and take apart the buildings. Walking up to this area, I had to get my drone up into there and just kind of get a good look at the hotels that line the bank of the river. And you can see that there are several abandoned hotels in this area. It's actually quite a beautiful sight to behold. Kinugawa Onsen is known as Japan's third ugliest place because of the abandoned buildings that line the riverbank. Today it's just a fragment of what it used to be way back in the past. There's some kind of old nostalgic beauty that I feel like still remains. As I'm flying around the buildings, you can look directly into the windows of the hotels. You can see the empty rooms, no people, just quiet, rust, and things falling apart. So where does that leave Kinugawa Onsen today? I wanted to go wander into the town to see what businesses are still up and running. Now, of course, the night before, we didn't find too many things that were open. A lot of shops were closed. We just found that one little ramen shop. But during the day, things seemed to be a little bit more livelier. So I decided to go wander around to go find some yummy food to eat. So let's go get something to eat and explore the food in Kinugawa Onsen Town. I think probably one of the most exciting things about Kinugawa Onsen Town is the food. There's only one convenience store in the main center area of town, and that is the Lawson. And if you were to walk through the Lawson, you can find some pretty good goodies inside there. I was kind of browsing around, checking out some of the souvenir goods, and I would say everything looked quite lovely and quite tasty. Now, after wandering around the Lawson, I built myself an appetite, want to get something to eat. I decided to go have lunch at this little place, Inaniwa Kukai Udon. These are not ordinary udon noodles. They're kind of like more like skinny, flat udon noodles. You know, usually when you have udon noodles, they're a little bit more fat and they're a little bit more chunkier. But these were not fat or chunky at all. They were just kind of like skinny. However, it was very, very tasty and I did enjoy that. After having my bowl of udon, I asked the lady, what is a good place to go have some dessert around here? And I was actually recommended two different places. There was a place that did cake in a bottle and another place that does Nikko pudding. So I thought, ooh, pudding is a definite. And the cake I was definitely curious about. So I went to this little place that sold cake. It's called Parfait. And a Parfait, it's a very unassuming, tiny little shop just off the main strip. And then there it was, cake in a little can. And so I ordered me some cake in a can, sat down and enjoyed it. It was very, very lovely, quite tasty, cake in a can. After having my
my parfait, I decided to go check out the pudding. The Nikko pudding, Kinugawa branch, was actually a really, really good place. I would say it's more like a fancy pudding. I ordered pretty much what was the Nikko special, and actually was quite tasty too. I really enjoy good pudding, and I think what's really lovely about the little bottles of pudding, they actually come in a nice glass jar. You know that when it comes in a glass jar, you are in for a very, very special treat. So it was just super, super good. And there are actually some fascinating attractions that you can visit kind of outside of Kinugawa Onsen Town area. One of those places I ran into was this trick art museum. I think what caught my eye was when I was driving past it, there was this giant hand holding a paintbrush. So I thought to myself, ooh, I must stop by. So I just kind of pulled into the parking lot and checked it out. The parking lot was completely empty, but very, very curious place indeed. This would be a great place to go wander and explore. And if you are planning a trip out to Japan and you would like some help in planning a trip to Japan, you can send me a message here at farsidejapan.com. Why not have yourself a personal local guide to show you around Japan? I would be more than glad to connect and talk to you about your trip to Japan. Find me at farsidejapan.com and let's talk about your trip to Japan. You know, Kinugawa Onsen Town is not such a bad place to visit. I have a thing for abandoned buildings, and that was, for me, was actually my personal highlight. And kind of get a feel of the history of what this place used to be. But then going through the town and eating the food and talking to some of the locals, I realized that Kinugawa Onsen Town still has a lot to offer to this day. And there are a lot of things that you can do in Kinugawa Onsen Town. It being the third ugliest place in Japan, it's definitely one of the most fascinating places in Japan. One of the most fascinating places in Japan that you can definitely come and visit. Thank you for watching today's video. I greatly appreciate it. Please hit that like button and do share a comment. I always love to hear from all of you. And if you want to see some more videos about Japan, you can click right over here for more videos about Japan. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel and follow me with my little adventures here in Japan. And I'll see you on the next round.